Good day, fellow deal makers. Welcome to the Deal Scout. Man, on this episode, you're going to listen in on a conversation with Tim Bratz. And you might know him from, all the work that he's done in multifamily and raising capital and mindset building and his mastermind program. He's working on something super interesting that I want to share with you guys about. It's about, transferring legacy to your kids. And it might not be what you think. So listen in to this episode and let's just dive straight into it. We'll see you guys. Tim, tell us a little bit about since our last conversation, a little bit about who you are and what's new in your world.
Yeah, man. Well, dude, it's great to be back. First of all, always have a good conversation with you. So, and I appreciate all the value you continued to put out, man, over the years. So it's an honor to be here again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, from I went over my I guess a little bit more background of how I got started in real estate, but I was going through college 03 to 07 when the market was going crazy. Last go around, was very money motivated as a young kid and decided to get involved in real estate. So I'm from Cleveland originally, moved out to New York, got my real estate license, started brokering retail leases and office leases. Brokered one deal that I saw how much the landlord was making over, like, residually over the next 10, 12 years. And I was like, I need to be owning real estate. So I ended up moving down to Charleston, South Carolina, which is where I am now, and started buying up residential real estate, single family houses in 2009, flipping houses, wholesaling houses. Then I started building a small portfolio, got into my first apartment building in 2012. And I just love the scale of that, right? It really spoke to my sense of efficiency of how, just kind of how I operate on a day-to-day basis in regular life and in business. And so leaned heavy on multifamily, and I've done everything, man. I've done office, I've done retail, I've done mixed use type stuff. We've done short-term rentals, development, owned one of the largest management companies in Cleveland, sold it. Now we do some in-house management for a bunch of our own properties and self-storage facilities. I mean, you name it. I've done pretty much all asset classes in real estate. But today, I've gone through a lot of refinement. In 2018, I was big in growth mode, right? 2018, 2019, last time I was on here, we were big in growth mode. We were growing. I think in 2018, I bought about 1,000 doors. In 2019, I bought 2,000 doors. 2020, I bought another 1,000 doors. And then 2021, we really started like refining our portfolio. We got up to about almost 5,000 doors. And then, we made such a heavy push. There was a lot of like excess fat in our portfolio. We needed to kind of trim that. So we sold a bunch of the small properties, any management intensive properties that we had, some like the C-class type stuff that we had. We've been trimming that over the course of the past 12 months or so. And we're going to do that for another couple of months. And then, so our portfolio is down to around 4,000 right now, maybe 3,900, I think. And I'm going to sell probably another 1,500 doors over the course of the next couple of months. And so we'll drop down, but then we're going to be back in acquisition mode, right? And so I think, I think a lot of business, like a lot of people think it's just like go, 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 go. And I think the good businesses grow, refine, take a step back in order to make bigger leaps forward, kind of a thing. And we're constantly, aware of our portfolio and reflecting on it and figuring out what do we like, what do we not like, where are we making money, where are we not making money, and we're not afraid to pivot. We're not afraid to change our objectives and our business model in order to match the market and match our long-term goals.
Yeah. So when it comes to pivot, change, trimming fat, reevaluating portfolio, what are some of the things that typically inspire that kind of thinking, that kind of strategy? Because a lot of people in multifamily, it's just like buy, 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 more doors, AUM, and how many
Yep.
doors we have under. Like what's your thinking? You've been in the game for a while. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
And that's the thing, man. I've been around the block, right? A lot of
Yeah.
other people are a little bit newer. Like I've taken over 6,000 doors full cycle, buy it, raise capital on it, finance it, stabilize the whole thing, property management, project management, asset management, refinance, sale, whatever it ends up being. And so I've been around the block, right? And I realized it's a buzzword and it's cool and it's sexy to find deals and it's cool and sexy to raise capital. And that's what everybody's talking about on social media.
Yeah.
And that's what gets all the accolades. You know what doesn't get the accolades is operations, right? But really operations, once you close a deal, that's when the work begins. You haven't done anything yet. Like now the real work begins, especially if you're doing value add type properties, right? If you're buying something stabilized, yeah, I get it. But if you're doing value add deals, right? And that's typically the kind of deals that you need to do right now in order to create some sort of equity in your portfolio in that project, because nobody wants to overpay or nobody wants to compete with institutional money. So like that's when the work begins. And yeah, again, it's not sexy, it's not fun. It's what we've come to is the reason that we've sold some of our properties. Here's a couple of the parameters. Did we talk about this property as a big pain in the ass more than 3 times? Right. And if it's been like a major pain in the ass, there's always, ebbs and flows and highs and lows for every property. But if it's like consistently a pain, then hey, let's just launch it. Life's too short. We don't need to own this thing. Market's too good. Sell it. If we have a joint venture partner, that's a headache, and they're not doing their job. They're not carrying their weight. Then we will sell the property, or buy them out somehow. And so we've done that on a lot of projects over the course of the past 12 months. If it's C class, right? If it's management intensive, if no matter how good you are at operations, you still have break-ins, you still have tenants tearing up units, you still have all these headaches and all these issues and all these liabilities and all these lawsuits and stuff that pop up. Like life's too short. We don't need that, right? But it was a good stepping stone to get us to where we wanted to be. If the property doesn't have scale, meaning if it can't have on-site property management, we typically don't want to hold that long-term then. And so those are some of the metrics and parameters that we look at of whether or not we're going to hold something or sell something. Realistically, in my mind, if I'm not holding it for the next 10 years, like I kind of feel, I don't think we're going to go through like a big boom or bust or anything like that, like we did back, 10, 12 years ago. But I do think, interest rates are going to rise, cap rates are going to rise, which means value is going to come down, which means appraisals and refinances and all that kind of stuff, sales, like the numbers aren't going to change much from a value proposition. Maybe if inflation really kicks in hard and heavy, which we're seeing, rent's going to continue to rise. So that might still increase values. But the reality is, man, if you bought something in 2006, or you could have sold something in 2006, and instead you decided to hold on to it, and then you sold it for the exact same price in 2016, 10 years later, you're like, dude, why should have sold it in 2006, taken the cash off the table, and then gone into new buying opportunities. And that's kind of where my head is on some things right now. If I don't see myself holding it for 10 years, I'm not, now's the time to sell. Like just get rid of it. Institutional buyers are coming in, overpaying for properties or paying top dollar for properties. And I know how to find deals, so it doesn't really faze me to sell something, because I know that I can go and buy more off-market direct to seller type of opportunities.
Super cool. We talk about in our team, we talk about the PETA tax, the pain in the ass tax, right? That's what,
Dude,
like
it's a
some
real
things are
thing,
just,
man.
it's just not worth it. Like
No.
we've worked with some clients that we've had to separate from because it's a lot of work. It's not just the dollar, it's the emotional, it's the time commitment, it's the other resources. So what are some things that you start to see in a potential partner, because you've done a lot of JVs and syndications and such? What are some things that you look for a good partner, and what are some red flags when you see that?
um, the red flags are typically people who just want to post it on social media, right? And get the accolades on social media.
Yeah.
If they're not willing to commit 100% of their time and effort to this one deal for minimum 6 months, preferably 12 months, we're really not interested in joint venturing anymore. Because what we found is we funded all these deals. I sponsored loans, I raised the money, and then my team was supposed to be pretty much hands off from there, other than hopping on a call once a week, just kind of help navigate and mentor through the project. And then all of a sudden, almost every deal, not every one of them, but I don't know. It's more than half. I'd say 60% of the deals we've had to take back in house, or my team just ends up taking over the project,
Yeah.
and or we have to buy that person out or whatever, just because they found the deal, took it down, posted about on social media, and that's the adrenaline rush, right? Like that's what gives them the rise. That's like what what gets them excited. So then they go and start looking for more deals because they realize operations is a pain in the ass, man. It's a lot of work operating real estate. And it's not easy. And you're dealing with contractors, you're dealing with property managers, dealing with tenants, you're dealing with the city, you're dealing with all these supply issues, everything. And it's not a fun part of the business. And so they go back to what gives them the adrenaline rush, which is finding deals. And they just find so many deals that all of a sudden they can't spend any time on the original commitment. And so that's an issue, right? Like you can't have that. And early on, I wasn't very good at setting proper expectations either. So it ended up coming back into our lap, and we didn't make any more money. Right? We actually had to dilute some equity because we had to hire new other people or give them some equity or raise more capital and dilute our own equity in order to do that. And so it wasn't, it wasn't fun. What do I look for in a partner is attitude, right? Like attitude. I can train somebody on how to operate real estate, but you can't train attitude. Just like the commitment to, dude, I will work my ass off. Thank you for giving me the opportunity. Like having that gratitude for being part of the project. If there's a sense of arrogance at all, that's probably not a good fit. You know, I've partnered with a couple people like that are a little bit arrogant and too good to do this, too good to do that. That's not what we're looking for. Not an operating partner. So I think really attitude, work ethic, and a sense of gratitude for being part of the project and wanting to show what they're capable of. Like having some big goals, having some big aspirations on what they want to accomplish, and knowing that this is going to be a great stepping stone for them to get into more deals, better deals, and really start building their wealth. I think is that's more what I'm looking for.
Yeah. Now I'm guilty of this, right? Is the arrogance or the pride ego, like I'm a prideful dude and I've built some cool stuff, but I've also lost it all. I've been bankrupt. I've been on food stamp. I've went from venture capital to working on the back of a moving truck, to put diapers on the baby's butt, which humbles, you if you allow it to. How do you stay, what are some things you've learned on how to stay humble, because you've been in the media, you've had some of the cool shows, and you've done the sexy part of the job of raising capital and being on the top of the game. How do you balance that in your own life?
Yeah, good question. Dude, I'm just like, probably how I was raised.
Yeah.
It's just I was humbled very much so in 2012. I built a portfolio about 10 doors, which wasn't huge, but as a 25-year-old, 26-year-old kid, I was financially free. I had enough residual income coming in that covered all the business operating expenses, all the debt service, my personal living expenses, and put an extra $1,000 a month in my pocket, which, I wasn't rich, but awesome. I was financially free,
Yeah.
And so I think I got it figured out. So then I bought a Mercedes. I joined the private clubs. I, took expensive, fancy vacations to Europe and all around the country, and started just blowing money on stupid stuff. And I went totally broke. I had $80 in my bank account, $25,000 in credit card debt, and was paying for gas with the coins out of the cup holder of my car, borrowing money from my parents in order to pay the minimum payment on my credit cards, because I couldn't even cover that. And so I think when you're a bad steward of capital, you find a respect for capital and what money can do. It's a tool, right? And it's like, guns can be used for protection or for hurting people. Money can be used as a tool and can also be detrimental to your finances if you don't respect it and treat it the right way. And so I've become a much better steward of capital because of that. Yeah. And it's funny, man, like when you don't have a Mercedes, when you don't have a fancy house, when you don't have the fancy watches, when you don't drive the fancy cars, and you really want that stuff. And you're like, oh man, like that's the driver. And you see it on social media all the time, like Lambos and the jets and all this shit. And I can tell you, dude, like once you get there, you're like, meh, this is it, right? This is what I was really like driving for. And I just don't go fulfillment from that stuff anymore. And my dad was like, he was a cop. He's kind of like the millionaire next door, right? Mm-hmm. He was a police officer, and now he's worth a couple $1 million or something, right? He had like a side business, and dude, he wore shirts with holes in it. I remember putting on this one shirt It was like a purple shirt that said Dad's report card on it, and had a hole in the armpit. And he put it on, and his arm would go through the hole, and so like the sleeve would be flapping up in his head. And I'm like, Dad, what do you do? Like, he's like, what? Who do I need to impress?
That's it
And I
right
think
there.
once you get to a certain level of confidence, um, I'm confident enough myself. Hopefully, I don't come off as arrogant, but I'm confident enough in myself where, dude, if you don't like me, I get it. No problem. No worries. And you go enjoy your life. I'm gonna go enjoy mine. I try not to be a dick. I don't talk down to people, right? I don't do any of those kinds of things. Um, and I realize, like, dude, everybody's dealing with issues. Everybody's dealing with problems. I'm wildly thankful for what I do have, and and I have a sense of just confidence of, hey, listen, I know a couple of things about business now. I can go make money if I want to, but the reality is I make more of it's more fulfilling to me to make an impact on other people than it is to buy material stuff. I'll spend stupid amounts of money on like trips and lifestyle experiences, but just buying stuff it doesn't fulfill me, right? I've been down that road, and it was a sense of emptiness for me personally. So I get a lot more fulfillment by just helping out, providing value on social media, jumping on podcasts, hosting events, and coaching and mentoring, and doing deals like that. And so I think if you're ultimately comfortable in your own skin, kind of a thing, then you don't try to. I don't know. I don't think you need that sense of arrogance.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I think if you allow life to, humble you and go through these experiences, I think that you become a better steward of talent. You become a better steward of capital or
Mm-hmm.
opportunity or even relationships. Like what I look for in a team member is someone who's got their ass kicked and they got back up with a better attitude. Like I'm
Yep.
like those are the kind of people I like.
Yeah, for sure, man.
I like working at. As you're going through, you talk about impact, and man, I was just about to click buy before we hit record. Little Legacy Library. I'm looking through some of the books, and the book that caught my attention, like I'm like cannot wait because every day my kids ask me, how do I make money? How do I make money? How do I make money? So we rake the yard and we go to yard sales, we buy stuff and we sell stuff, and I see the richest kid in the neighborhood. Tell me about that book. What inspired that?
Yeah. So the whole series came from me flying back on a plane, and I'm reading the book, The Magic of Thinking Big by David Schwartz. And I was 31 at the time. My daughter was like turning 2, and I'm reading this book, and I'm reading the prologue, and I'm like, damn, this are these are like life changing philosophies and principles in this book. And I was like, I'm getting this at 31 years old. And I got to reprogram my thought philosophies because I
Yeah.
come from a blue collar town in Cleveland, Ohio, and I got to reprogram. Like, can you imagine just being programmed the right way from a
Yeah.
very early young age? And I was like, how do I instill these principles and these thought philosophies into my daughter of achievement and success and um, all these kinds of things? And so I got off the plane. I started Google searching like personal development books for kids, and started Google searching like, and there wasn't anything out there. There was a lot on like how to be nice, the golden rule, treat others how you want to be treated, Berenstain Bears kind of stuff like that. But there wasn't really anything on achievement philosophies, goal setting philosophies, creating influence. Like these types of things that many of us didn't learn until post college, post
Yeah.
traditional school. And so, I think when the universe, God plants a seed in your head on something, and you ignore it, you're essentially turning away God or the universe or whatever, nature, whatever you want to call it. And I had the seed planted, thinking, Tim, you gotta go and write these books. And I sat on the idea for almost 3 years. And then I was on vacation with a couple of very, very close friends, and obviously my wife and my family. And we were in the pool late night having some drinks. I was talking about this, like, this is something I really want to do, but I don't have enough time. And my wife and one of my best female friends raised their hand. They said, "Hey, we'll write the books, and
Cool.
you, Tim, you got the idea, and you kind of give us feedback and all this other stuff." And so it was cool where. And somehow I got swindled out of like 70% of the company. I don't know how this happened.
Did
Late
the
night
wife
drinks.
take it?
Yeah, yeah. Between my wife and her friend, like, so anyways,
Yeah.
No, but I was like, absolutely, like we just need to go out and do it and get this thing rocking and rolling. So we ended up taking the idea of the entire library. It's called Little Legacy Library, littlelegacylibrary.com, is taking the most classic personal development books and taking the concepts from those books and putting them into children's stories. So Think Big and Go to Baseball Camp is based on Think and Grow Rich. It's about
Cool.
goal setting. It's about sacrificing things that you care about for things you care even more about, like long-term goals, and achieving, sacrificing short-term pleasures for long-term gains, and and really like obsessing over your goals. Richest Kid in the Neighborhood is based on The Richest Man in Babylon, and so it's taking those thought principles of like, how do you build wealth, right? And it really boils down to making money, saving money, and investing, multiplying your money. And it talks about, how these kids in the neighborhood, there's a couple different kids like who are all like little hustlers, and one's like trading baseball cards, and the other one's got a pet walking business and a pet bath, and the other one, has a lawn care business, and like what they do with their money and how they spend it, and investing with the right people versus investing with the wrong people. That's one of the concepts in there too. And so it's um, that's actually my favorite one. I don't know if it's just because it's the most recent, the one that we released, but I love that one. Another one, How to Win Friends and Influence People, How to Win Class President is another one that we have. And it's essentially taking the principles of, using people's names, treating others, showing genuine interest in what other people are interested in. And it's like, it's creating influence. It's teaching your kid how to be likable, how to be influential at a young age. And how to engage with other kids, right? And make friends. And so I did just powerful principles that nobody ever talks about. Power of Positivity is based on The Power of Positive Thinking by Norman Vincent Peale. And it's a lot about gratitude and really just understanding, dude, people would trade their life for yours in a heart, trade their problem for yours in a heartbeat, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And just, coming from a place of gratitude, you can achieve way more. You can be more abundantly mindseted. And yeah, so all powerful books, really, really well written by the girls, and with a couple of tweaks and direction from me, and found some local artists to illustrate, and the illustrations are really cool. And there's a lot of cool stuff. Like the characters are all named off of like the titans of industry. So there's Ford is the main character. Morgan is his one of his female friends based on J.P. Morgan. You got Andrew, who's based off Andrew Carnegie. Rocky, based off of John D. Rockefeller. And so it's kind of some nods of the hat to those titans of industry back in the day. And there's a couple other things, like there's action steps at the end of each book and stuff too, in order to like help the kid set goals, help the kid, start managing their capital, managing their money, and doing stuff like that. So it's cool, man. We're really, really proud of it, and it's starting to get some legs and stuff too. So we're excited.
Yeah, it's super cool. Super, super awesome, man. So as a, experienced business guy, deal maker, raise capital, you sit down, you start writing these books, with the help of, some friends. Oh, by the way, when you were in the pool having cocktails, what was your drink of choice? What's your go-to?
So I drink if I'm drinking to get drunk, it's a different drink than if I'm just sipping on like whiskey, right?
Yeah.
I usually just sip on whiskey if I'm going to have like one drink or something. But yeah, if I'm drinking to like get, start feeling good, and I'm on vacation, it's usually like Tito's with ginger ale and a splash of grape juice.
Yeah. So that's
Called
called
a
a greyhound,
transfusion.
right?
What's that?
Isn't that called a greyhound?
So I think it's got a couple different names, but
Yeah.
my buddy told me it's called a transfusion, so that's what we always call it.
Yeah, it sounds great. What's your go-to whiskey?
So there's probably I like to drink local. So
Yeah.
there's a spot up here in Charleston, South Carolina, that's like a ginger infused bourbon, which is really, really good.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I usually go with Angel's Envy.
That's so tasty. Yeah, I like that.
Dude,
The
Angel's
bottles
Envy
are
is
cool.
smooth. It's good, man. So that's usually my go-to if I'm at a restaurant or something. But if
Yeah.
I'm drinking something locally or just in my kitchen, I'll do like the ginger infused bourbon, and it's got a little sweetness. Just throw it on a rock, and it's good, man.
It's nice. Yeah. So my brother and sister-in-law live in Charleston. So next time I'm up there, I'll buy you your first ginger infusion round. All right.
Let's do it. Let's do it, man. Hit
So,
me up next time you're here. That'd be awesome.
yeah, cool. All right, sorry. Back to deals. As you're writing this book, and you're like, I've got all this experience, and now I'm taking this information, breaking it down for kids, right? Like, how do we simplify this crap where it's not like compound interest and all, like IRR and all this cap rate crap, right? And you're explaining it to a kid. Did you come across anything where you're like, holy moly, I'm learning stuff as I'm trying to like create it for kids?
So being a coach in real estate, you have to take these complex principles and boil it down to essentially a third grade level, anyways, right? Um, and I think that really shows true brilliance. Don't impress me by using words and saying you went to an Ivy League school and speaking above everybody else and show me how smart you are that way. Show me how smart you are by taking those concepts and simplifying it in a way that everybody can understand it. Like that to me is true brilliance. And so that's something that I've always worked really hard on is like, dude, I'm a simple kid from Cleveland, Ohio, right? Like again, blue collar town, Cleveland, Midwest. And so if it's too complex, dude, it's over my head anyways, right? It's too mystical for me to understand anyways. So I've been able to take a lot of those complex concepts and boil it down. Ox, relax, buddy. Sorry, dog's barking. Hang on.
Hey, dog.
So,
Ox just wanted to be on the show, man.
So, yeah, it's you create the content to teach people, but you learn just as much when you create the content. Like, dude, my operations got dialed in when I created Commercial Empire, which is my coaching platform on the apartment side. Like I had to not look like a dumbass in front of all these people that I was coaching. So I needed to make sure that like everything checked out, that I had resources for them on how to grade a neighborhood and how to grade a property and how to like quantify certain things and how to create a calculator type of thing and how to underwrite these things and how to operate and what those standard operating procedures look like and who the vendors are and who the suppliers are and all this different stuff. And so it refines you as a business owner, as an individual, and it refines your business and tightens things up in every capacity. And these kids' books did a lot of that too, right? It's like, what really matters? Like what, if you boil everything down in the world of personal wealth building, what matters? And what matters is making money, keeping money, and multiplying your money. And that's the concept in The Richest Kid in the Neighborhood. And that's what we really, really hone in on.
Sounds cool, dude. Awesome job. If I bought a few books or something like that, would you guys sign it for me and my kids?
Yeah,
right,
absolutely,
cool.
man.
All right.
Send it over. My wife does all the fulfillment side of things.
Okay.
So we'll make that happen for you.
All right. Look out for Josh Wilson, and we'll send you guys some money and make my kids rich. Make my kids smart. One of the things that we instituted is, I ran out of questions after doing this a couple thousand times. Is we bought cards with questions on it, right? So tell me when to stop. I'm going to ask you one of these questions. All
Stop.
right, here we go. Here we go. The question is, oh, this is fun. If you could be born in another era in history, which would you choose and why? Any, with the same knowledge you have today.
Oh man. Like if I could travel in time, I'd love to see dinosaurs, dude. I think that would be wild and awesome. I don't want to live during that time though. Like I don't think I can make it.
But just see them.
Yeah, yeah. And I need to be in a cage when I travel there. But if I, dude, I love the ideas and principles and stuff of like ancient Greece and ancient Rome. Like that stuff really resonates with me. So it would either be that, or it would be like right at the the turn, like late 1800s, like from an industrial business perspective, like there was so much wild amounts of wealth and things you could do in business. It was the wild, wild west, and just understanding business principles and how Carnegie built his business and how Rockefeller built his business and how Vanderbilt built his business and how JP Morgan would come in, raise capital and like it just, it was limitless opportunity. Not saying it's not today, but there's obviously regulation on all this stuff, right? Like there's antitrust laws. You can't have a monopoly. You could totally have a monopoly back then. In fact, that's what the game was. The game was to go and create monopolies and build it as big as you can. There's labor laws today where there weren't labor laws back then, and it was horrible working conditions, but people didn't have anything to compare it to, so they didn't really know that it was horrible. So I think from a business perspective, it would be very interesting to go back to then and understand, I mean, it was capitalism to the max of what you could do during the Industrial Revolution. I think that would be really fascinating from a business perspective, and then from like a thought, principle, philosophy, stoic type of perspective. I think like ancient Greece would be pretty badass.
Yeah, go back in time and hang out with like Aristotle or
Yeah,
Socrates
exactly.
or like
Yeah.
Plato or something like that. Like, what question would you ask those guys? So let's just philosophy side. You go back in time, and you could like sit there and chat, round table it up with those dudes, right? Like some of the greatest thinkers, and what kind of questions do you think you would ask them?
Oh man. Because it's not really about business, right? It's
Yeah,
more about life. It's more about meaning. It's about purpose. It's about, um, yeah, I don't even know. I'd have to see where the conversations went, and you know, just psychology is very, very fascinating to me, and
yeah,
understanding why people do the things that they do, how they act in certain ways. It'd be, a lot of questions around that kind of a thing. How to
yeah.
motivate people, how to demotivate people, how to, um, uh, yeah, I think it would fall into that side of things.
Yeah.
The whole philosophical, why are we here, what are we doing, what drives individuals, where are their mindsets in certain things, how come we always go negative when we could easily just choose to be positive, like stuff like that. I think would, how do you exercise that mental muscle is
Yeah.
what I'd really ask a lot of questions around.
Yeah. So you've had some wins, you've had some losses, you've had some resets, some pivots. You've had that time where driving around in a Mercedes, but you had to use the coins out of the ashtray to pay for
Mm-hmm.
gas. And when you write this book on for the kids on Little Legacy Library, when you writing books on positivity and such, how do you, after going through maybe a bad day, let's say a bad deal or a pain in the ass client or whatever, how do you convert, before you head home, hang out with the kids and the wife and the friends in the pool? How do you change your mind from maybe a negative or stressed to game on and happy and positive? How do you do that?
Yeah, great question. I mean, to me, it's always gratitude.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people compare themselves of what they don't have. I make comparisons of what we do have. And it's not necessarily financial type things, not necessarily material type things. It's your health, your relationships, your friendships, your business partners who are badasses as well.
Yeah.
I got a lot of remarkable business partners and joint venture partners that we've done business with. Um, I think all happiness starts with a level of gratitude and being thankful for
Yeah.
what you do have, um, already, and realizing, like, dude, what are your problems? Like I have two buildings that are total pain in my ass right now, and I wouldn't say the partner checked out, but it kind of just hasn't been paying attention to it. Had a couple other balls up in the air, and this one kind of, these two buildings kind of fell by the wayside. And dude, they're a headache, and it's a $30 million headache, And I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this. It's so stressful. It's such a pain in the butt. And why do I always like? This is one of those deals that I haven't had this conversation 3 times. I've had it about 30 times about the
Mm.
same two properties, maybe more. And um, and I realized, like, if I'm feeling bad for myself, the reality is, like, how many people would love to have, 500 doors that they need to, turn around, restabilize, get excited about, in order to make a few $1 million on this thing. And dude, I don't have, if money can solve the problem, it's not a real problem.
Yeah.
If money can solve it, it's not a real problem. Uh, my business partner on Little Legacy Library, her name's Erin, and her 5-year-old daughter got diagnosed with brain cancer last summer, and
Jeez.
nothing you can do. Right? There's no cure for it. She's gone through chemo and radiation. She's going through another round of radiation now, and that's a real problem. Like that's, you know, she would beg for the problems that I have right now. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And I think just putting things in perspective, right? Like I felt bad for the person with no shoes until I met the person with no feet, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And like there's always somebody who's in a more difficult stance than we are. And I think if you come from a place of being thankful for what we do have and coming from a place of gratitude, like dude, that's what really levels you out. I think on a humility level and from at a happiness level. I think it's easy to get caught up, dude, watching social media and seeing people drive and seeing people buy buildings and get worked up about like competitive, like, oh my gosh, how are they doing that? And I need to go and buy and build some more. Dude, the reality is we're all at different stages. Nobody's better than you. It's just they're further along in their process, right? Like you're comparing your chapter 1 or chapter 2 to somebody else's chapter 10 or chapter 12. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like you're different places in the book. You can't say that I wish I was there. Like somebody's like, dude, Grant Cardone's got 4 billion, Bratz. Like, what are you doing? I'm like, yeah, he's also fucking 63 years old. Like I'm 36 years old, and if I got 4 billion, um, do I even want 4 billion? Right? Like people don't like Grant Cardone, right?
Yeah.
I like to be liked. I don't know, being respected, and people see him as in different lights, and so it's just why compare yourself? Like, who gives a shit if you're happy with yourself? If you're happy and you're thankful for what you got, um, and you show that gratitude, man. Like, the only person you should be comparing yourself to is yourself, right?
Yeah.
Of who you were a year ago, are you further along today? And you need to be striving to be the person you want to be a year from now. Like that's the comparison. That's where you should be looking. It's not at other people. It's only in the mirror of who you were yesterday, a month ago, a year ago, and are you continuously progressing and becoming a better person?
That's awesome, dude. Yeah, compare yourself to you, right? Not other people. Because also social media, and when you get in the capital space with fun, cap raisers and these people acquisitions and tackling down all this crap, there's a lot of smoke and mirrors too, right? Like
Dude,
you
they're all full of
gotta.
shit. I know most of the like. I know many of them. I know
Yeah.
many of them. They're all full of shit, man.
So, like take that with a grain of salt and then just like look in the mirror, compare you with you. When I did that just yesterday, I was like, "Oh, dude, I got a little dad belly going on." If I compare myself to me, I'm like, "Holy shit, I got to get rid of that thing."
Yep,
How'd that
yep,
happen?
yep.
Too many whiskeys. That's what happened. So, Tim, as you're building this out, you're teaching kids about legacy, and I think that's such a cool thing. You're teaching them about wealth building and influence, and you're passing on these things. Let's just say, how many kids you got now?
Two.
Two kids. Okay. If you could pass on one characteristic to your kids, right? One thing that you could really pass on to them, what would be most important for you?
Uh, to know that they're the captain of their own ship, right? Like they have 100% ownership over their own life
Mhm.
and their own decisions and the decisions that they make and the rooms that they put themselves in or not put themselves in, or the books that they read or don't read, the people they surround themselves with or don't surround themselves with, the activities they pursue or don't pursue, the opportunities that they pursue or not pursue. Like those things all will add up to who they become in the future. The TV shows they watch or don't watch. All that stuff influences us, and it's our decision of which direction. It's up to us. Life is going to happen, right? Life is going to happen to all of us, and it's not about what happens to us. It's about how we respond to what happens to us. Um, that's our decision, right? Because the winds are going to blow on all of us, right? And it's not the sailboat doesn't move forward based on the winds that blow on it. It's based on the set of the sail, and we get to decide the set of the sail. Those economic winds, the political winds, the social winds are blowing on all of us. It's just like what determines how getting you to your destination. It's the set of the sail, not the winds. And so I think that philosophy, if they understand that, everything else will fall into place, right? Everything else can, um, uh, now there's that awareness, there's that personal awareness, there's that social awareness, there's that, um, that level of ownership, that level of responsibility, that level of accountability to themselves, and knowing that they have the strength to change, right? The strength to change the direction if they're going in a direction that they don't want to go in. Guess what? It's because of them, and they have the ability. It's not somebody else. It's not reliant on other people or having excuses or being able to blame. Like that stuff is out the door when you take 100% ownership over your life. And that would be I think the most important philosophy that I want to make sure that I ingrain in my kids.
Super awesome. Two personal questions. I've seen you wear that hat before. Tell me about that hat. What is that?
This is my mastermind. So it's called
Ah,
Legacy Family, and the logo is a torch. So
very
kind of
cool.
passing the torch along in legacy. Um, the eternal fire, eternal flame, the flame from within an entrepreneur. Like there's a couple different things that we talk
Yeah.
about, but yeah, these are just made for the mastermind members, and we give them to people when they join.
Super cool. If I grabbed your phone and I scrolled through like your song playlist, what song would come up with the most plays that you're like,
Oh
this is my
man,
song. I always go
that's a
back.
good question. That's a really good question. Recently, I've been listening to a lot of like MGK, Machine Gun Kelly.
Really?
So yeah, he's from Cleveland originally. I
He's
hated his rap
intense.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, but his rock album's like really freaking good, man. So I've been listening to MGK quite a bit recently. Um, I like uh, I listen to a lot of country and a lot of rock. Um, Not hard rock, but
Yeah.
like little like pop rock or like folk rock or I don't know who's coming to mind right now. Mumford and Sons is
Yeah.
an awesome band. I love them. I like a lot of the punk rock stuff from when I was going through high school and college. Um,
Like
Still listen to a little
MXPX or like later on like
like
Blink 182 and
Blink
such.
182 and a little bit after Blink 182, kind of
Yeah.
like the poppy punk rock kind of stuff. So
Okay.
a little bit of that, and uh, those are the main things that I listen to. A lot of country though. Listen to a lot of country and a lot. I mean, I'm in Charleston, South Carolina, so
Yeah.
you kind of have to.
Yeah,
And then
if you live in Charleston, you have to listen to Mumford and Sons. Like that's like a go-to. Like everyone has that playing on their porch and they're tapping their
yeah,
foot, drinking moonshine. You know?
yeah. No,
Right
it's
on.
yeah, I like that. Depends on the mood that I'm in. But if I'm cruising around, I like want to get pumped up. I like some Machine Gun Kelly or um, some sort of rock type stuff.
Word, word. Uh, During this interview, like what question that you're like, hey Josh, you probably should have asked me about this and you completely screwed up. What
Dude,
question should I have asked?
you asked some really good ones. I mean, some really really thought provoking questions and really um, some good deep ones, man. Like when would you go? Like, where would you go in time, and what would you ask Aristotle and those guys? And then the one thought to leave the kids. I think those are really really powerful questions. And um, I tend to be a little bit philosophical in my thought processes and stuff
Yeah.
too. And I think like what is the most important thing, or like the biggest takeaway or biggest give that I can give to the audience or a listener. And I think we hit on all of it, man. I think the gratitude piece is so
So
critical.
huge.
The taking 100% ownership over your life is so critical, and realizing, dude, just your thoughts. Like your thoughts dictate your emotions, which
Mhm.
dictates your attitude, which dictates typically your actions, which then dictate your results. So, uh, you know, indirectly, your thoughts dictate all of your results. If you understand that philosophy, that the way you think is what dictates your entire life and your entire set of circumstances, um, dude, that's a pretty powerful, powerful concept to leave on this, right? It's like
Yeah.
it's really important to understand. And again, it's empowering though, right? Like initially you're like, oh damn, well, I need to start thinking better. Um, Here's the cool part: you can think better, right? So because it's up to you, you can think better and you can change your entire set of circumstances. So I
Yeah.
think it's really really important. A lot of people, they want the tactical, technical knowledge on, what piece of marketing do I put out, and how do I find off market sellers, and how do I raise the capital, and how do you structure the deal? Like that's cool, but what transcends every business, what transcends all uh, aspects and elements of life is like these these thought principles. And if you can really work hard on yourself and hard on your brain, the most important real estate you'll ever own, dude, and work on is this. This is the ultimate value add, right? The 6 inches between your ears.
That is good. That's going to be the title of this show, the most valuable piece of real estate or something like that. My team will probably have to like make that sound better on my part, but like, all right. So let me just recap that. Your thoughts create your emotions, dictate your actions, which create the results. So you could almost reverse engineer it. Which results do I need? What actions do I need to take? What kind of emotions do I need to create those actions? What kind of thoughts will help create those emotions?
That's right.
Boom.
Look at it both ways.
Nice.
It's like you're you're doing bicep curls this way and bicep curls this way and bicep curls this way, and all of a sudden it hits the muscle in every single angle, and you get ripped, right? And that's how you build up that muscle.
Have you
And
been working out, Tim? You
yeah,
just brought a muscle analogy in this.
I guess so. I do F45. You ever heard of that? Like Mark Wahlberg's thing. It's good.
That guy's cool.
Yeah, he's a sharp cat, man. There's a handful of celebrities who just got it figured out, man. Like he's got it figured. Will Smith is a rock star. Yeah, there's a couple of guys that I like that are celebrities. I really don't watch a lot of celebrities. The Rock is a rock star too. Like the guys who understand personal development and success and achievement, who are also celebrities, like that stuff.
If you could
really
be in
home.
any one of Mark Wahlberg's or The Rock's movies, which movie, or Will Smith, right? Those are the three guys. So you get to go back when they were filming it, and you could be a co-star with them. Which movie would you choose?
Oh man,
Any one of those guys.
Dude, you know what was a badass movie was The Departed. There were some rock stars in that movie.
That was a good movie.
Yeah, and Wahlberg's in that one. That would have been a cool movie to be in with all the celebrities and stuff. You know, Independence Day is like a classic to me. Like that's an epic movie.
Hang out with Jeff Goldblum or Goldblum, however you pronounce it.
Yeah, that would have been. He's a character. And then what's one with The Rock? You ever seen Walking Tall, which is like his first movie?
So good. He carries the bat and he goes into like the police station and just like throws people through walls. Like
they legitimately gave him like 3 lines to say in the entire movie because they didn't trust what his acting ability would be. And he's actually like a really good actor. He does a really good job in a lot of his movies.
Yeah, he's funny. I love seeing him and Kevin Hart and their banter together.
Oh yeah.
They're funny.
Yeah, dude. Kevin Hart's another one that I follow. Dude, he's got like 300 million followers on Instagram. You know that?
300 million?
300 million, dude. That's insane.
That is insane.
Yeah. The Rock has 300 million too. Like, dude, they're like, I don't know. It's wild to me. But it's dude, and you think about it, right? It's money is a measure of value, just like a clock measures time, right? A ruler measures distance. Money measures value. And the more people you can impact, right? The more value you create, the more people you give impact to, or whether you deliver that value through comedy, like Kevin Hart does, or personal development, or entertainment, or through real estate, education. The more people you can deliver that message to, the more value you're going to create, which means the more money and everything comes full circle. And those guys, that shows you with 300 million followers how much of an impact those guys have made in society. Like powerful stuff, and they deserve all the money that's coming their way.
Yeah. Word. I know you got a call coming up in a minute. You're going to go raise another $1 billion in capital and take down all the cool things you're doing. But specifically for the books and for my kids, I got 9, 4, and 2. What's a good place for us deal makers and people who are driving out there and we're like, actually, we gotta impart legacy to our kids and teach our kids about legacy. Where's a good place for people to find out more about that and then connect with you and maybe do a deal with you?
Yeah, man. Well, I mean, dude, legacy to me isn't passing down estate. It's not passing down real estate. It's not passing down money. It's not passing down treasure. It's passing down the mindset. Like, ideally, I get the chills thinking about it. Like my kids coming to me at 18 years old and saying, "Hey, Dad, they're not saying, hey, Dad, will you pay for me to go to college? If they want to go to college, that's cool. But or Dad, can I have some money to go start a business? Or Dad, can I go, can I have this? Can I have that? I want them to be like, if they come to me and they're like, I don't need your money, you go and spend your money on anything you want, Dad, donate it all, whatever you want to do, because you taught me how to go make my own. And I can build it in an expedited amount of time because you've passed down true legacy, which is the mindset of how to go and do this stuff on their own. Like that to me is really the important part. So, they're going to get a couple of houses that are pretty badass, but I'm planning on giving away like all my money. And so that way it creates a constraint on me to make sure that I do impart this knowledge on my kids. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To make sure that they are taken care of because they have the mindset, not because they've been given cash or anything. So, yeah, quick aside on legacy, but yeah, go to littlelegacylibrary.com. That's where the books are. If you guys want to check out that or connect with me on Instagram or Facebook, I'm very active on those couple of platforms. And yeah, man, I appreciate you having me, brother. This is awesome. I'm looking forward to the next time you come to Charleston. Hit me up and we'll grab a cocktail.
And we'll listen to Mumford and Sons. I'll wear my
That's it, man, on
overalls.
the back porch.
Yes. All right, cool. Hey, Tim, thanks for being on the show. Fellow deal makers in the audience, as always, reach out to our guests, say thank you. Always find a way to connect with them, follow what they're doing, and find a way to do a deal with them, whether it's to buy a book, buy a program, join their mastermind, do a deal, right? Like that's the mission and purpose of the show is to connect deals and deal makers. If you're working on something and you want to talk about it here on the show, head on over to thedealscout.com. Fill out a quick form, maybe get you on the show next. Till then, talk to you all next episode. Peace.